Welcome to my craft area. I'm Anna Hellman and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Let's look at today's project. My team of Stampin' Up! Demonstrators has started having quarterly craft nights where myself and some of the other demonstrators on our team put together projects, and they're mystery projects. So I sent out a list of what materials people need to bring. Then we get together online and make some really fun mystery projects on these craft nights. So this was one of our projects from our most recent one that one of my team members, Tanya, shared with us, that everybody just absolutely loved it. And I thought I would come and share it with all of you. So before we do that, real quick, I'll show you some of the other cards. This is a project I'm creating a video on for this. This is the one that I shared, that you can make this neat chevron pattern with folded paper. Here was one. It was supposed to be a bubble wrap technique, but I could not find bubble wrap anywhere in my house. So I used a squished up plastic grocery sack to create that fun pattern on the background. And this is a really fun corner fold card. So these are the projects we made here in our last craft night. And today, like I said, I want to show you the Starburst card. So here are a few examples. It involves mixing two or more different patterns of designer paper or specialty paper together to get this really neat pattern. Here is one with our new butterflies paper. Here is one. This is one of the paper packs from our annual catalog. I absolutely love specialty papers, as you probably know if you follow along. So this is some of our True Love designer paper mixed with the True Love foil. I just gave it the wrong name. That is called Love You Always designer paper, the foil and then the designer paper mixed together. And this is the one I'm going to show you today, which you can use the same idea to get all of these, but the rainbow one involves just one extra little step, so I'll show you this one. But this is some of our rainbow glimmer paper. I'll lift this up to see if you can appreciate the sparkle on this. I thought this turned out really neat. I added this greeting. It says, "You are my sunshine." It comes from this ridiculously awesome stamp set that I absolutely love. It's the same one I used right here, where I just stamped the greeting over top of that designer paper. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make this pretty rainbow Starburst card. First of all, the materials we need are a 5.5 by 8.5 card base, a 4 by 5.25 dark piece of cardstock, which is going to lay directly behind all of our glimmer paper, so you won't even see it, but I recommend not using white, because with the white, if you get a little tiny gap between your papers, that shows through. So some kind of dark piece that measures 4 by 5.25. Then if you want to mat this piece, see the little yellow piece I have here? That measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then you need 4 pieces of designer paper or rainbow glimmer paper that measure 1.5 inches by 6. You need 4 more pieces. If you're doing designer papers, this is where you'll get a different print. You need 4 more of those that measure 1.5 by 6. I'll show you how I did this with the rainbow paper. So let me first show you how to cut this rainbow designer paper. I'm going to start with a full sheet of 12 by 12 paper and show you how I cut it down so that I could get this pattern, because you do need to cut it a certain way to get it to look this way. So first I'm going to put it into my very old trimmer. I've loaned my trimmer to somebody for a little bit, and I had to get this trimmer out of the closet. So first we're going to line it up with the green all the way across the top. Line it up as 6 inches. We want this to measure 6 inches wide. Now I'm going to turn this horizontally. Again, line it up as 6 inches. And I'm cutting down through the purple. So on the left side I have green, blue, purple. Right side, purple, pink, yellow. Now, I want to turn these so that the colors go in strips horizontally. Okay, so let's say, to make this easy, green needs to be at the top and yellow needs to be at the top. Now you're going to cut each one of these into those 4 strips that measure 1.5 inches wide, okay? So line up at 1.5 inches, cut a strip, and continue until you have 4 different strips that measure just like this one, 1.5 inches wide. Now, once you have those 4 strips, what you need to do is line them up on your trimmer so that the top right and the bottom left corner line up with the cutting track, the little guide where your blade is going to go through. And trim each of these into triangles. Now, I did not get this one cut perfectly, and that is okay because the way I'm going to show you to do this, the very tip and the far corner of them won't end up showing. So let me bring these in and you will see I have all of my triangles pre-cut and ready to go. So I want to get that piece of cardstock that I recommended not using white unless you have white prints for your paper. Some kind of color that won't really stand out if it does end up showing through a little bit behind your strips. And here you need to cover this piece all over with some kind of adhesive. I did this with some seal, with some of our seal tape. You can do it with glue like I'm going to show. You can play around with this and decide what works best for you, which way you prefer. I am going to use the glue just because it allows you to wiggle them around a little bit if you don't get them in exactly the right place. A couple of times with the seal, I stuck it down in the wrong spot and then I had to pull it back up and move it, which was a little tricky. So we have that covered with glue. Now I want to pick one of my triangles, it doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to lay it. I like to do this with just a little bit of the tip hanging off the bottom of the card. You can keep that point right on the edge of the card if you prefer. I like this way because the points get cut off and they don't have to be perfect that way. So place that on the card. And next, I want to get a piece of the one with the yellow, and there are going to be different prints here with the yellow. Here's a different one with the yellow. See, this one has the yellow at the point, this one has the yellow at the top. For the pattern I created, I wanted to alternate the purple at the top and the bottom of each one. So I am putting this one with the yellow at the top, the purple at the bottom on next. Next, I want one that has the green and the purple, but I want the one that has the green at the top. So doing this, the purples will end up next to each other a little bit down here at the bottom, but that's okay. I just love how the colors mix and match with the gradation and all of this. I just think this turned out really neat. Next, get your yellow one that has the yellow at the bottom. Lay that one on. When I lay these on, what I like to do, and I'll show you here on this next one. Next one, I want to get the one with the green at the bottom at the point. I like to lay it over top of the one that's already there and then drag it towards where it needs to be until I feel it slide off. And the reason for that is, next I want to get one of these with the purple at the bottom and the yellow at the top, is if I start out too far and lay that down and then push it in, what I end up with is a bit of glue sticking up between those two pieces. And I prefer not to do that. So that's why I lay it over the piece that was already there and then drag it over until I can feel it fall down onto the cardstock behind. Okay, now I have a little tiny bit right here. What I'll probably do with that piece is just trim this down a little bit before I attach it to my card, because it would be really hard to attach a piece right there. Next, let's finish the other side of this. So we need one that has yellow at the bottom. Now, if you're doing this with two different designer prints of paper, such as any of these other ones that I showed, this one, actually with this one, I used a whole bunch of prints. So this one is a little bit different, but with these, what you want to do is just alternate. So if your paper print is non-directional, which is what I would recommend, then you don't have to worry about the up and the down. All you need to worry about is putting one of one color on and then the other one of the other print. It's time for one with the yellow at the top. Here you can see I'm lining up all of the little tips down at the bottom. I try to keep those pretty even, which will keep all of the sizes of the triangles the same. Kate, once or twice, I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing, and then I would line one up different, and that affects the pattern of what the pieces look like, with them all looking the same width and the same shape. Put this one on. Next we need one with the yellow at the bottom again. Keep in mind you can start this pattern anywhere. If you wanted to start these points on the center of the card, I actually showed one a while back like that, and then develop your pattern all around the outside, you can do it that way. You can cut your triangles different sizes. You can cut them 2 inches wide. You can cut them 1 inch wide. There are a lot of different ways to change this up and play around with it. So you'll have to try that out. Send me some pictures. Let me know how this came out, because these are really a lot of fun. Once you have it all covered with your pieces, what you need to do is trim off all the edges around the outside of the paper. And of course, with my glue, I want to be careful with this. If you use tape, you shouldn't have to be as careful at this point until my glue dries. So you can do this with a trimmer if you like, or you could just use some scissors like I'm doing and trim off those edges. These are pieces that if you're going to do this with several cards, you can actually use these pieces for some of those. When you get down to the bottom and you just need some narrow strips, you can use some of these for that. Okay, so like I said, I have this one little tiny corner unfinished. I will finish that after we finish. I think I will add a little tiny piece to it, but I'll do that after we're done here. So I'll bring in my card base that I already have prepared. This is Coastal Cabana with a piece of Daffodil Delight on top. I'll put some Seal Plus on the back of here. This is a little bit thick with all of this rainbow glimmer paper on it, so I want to use some good strong adhesive. We'll put that right on there, and now we can attach any kind of greeting we want to. So I use this stamp of You Are My Sunshine on a piece of vellum. I thought this looks like the sun's rays, so that's one reason I thought this was a neat stamp. And then I put it on vellum because I thought it would be neat to allow that pattern to show through that vellum. So I'll show you a trick with this. I have already prepared this. I stamped it with Coastal Cabana onto that vellum. I want to flip it over so that we're looking at the back side. I have my silicone craft mat here that is really handy for lots of different reasons. And an old sponge, I've used it for some other things, but now I'm going to use it for some glue. So I want to dab that around, spread it out, get a nice thin layer of glue on the sponge, and dab this out all across the back of that vellum. If you've worked with vellum, you know it's really hard to get it attached. Can be really hard to get it attached without your adhesive showing through. And this is probably the best solution I have found to that challenge, is to use a sponge, dab some glue on the back, and then attach it. And you cannot see that glue one bit. Okay, so now I have a couple of Artistry Bloom sequins I'm going to attach. I really like how this pack of sequins attaches, or coordinates, I'm sorry, with the rainbow glimmer paper. So we'll add some of those sequins, and our card is complete. So like I said, this is a really fun technique, you can create so many different colors and patterns and card ideas with this, depending on what paper you use. So hope you have fun with this. Thanks so much for joining in today. For more information and links to the products used today, click in the video description box down below to visit my website. Make sure you also click down below to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell to receive notifications when I share new videos. I truly appreciate you being here, as well as every like, share, and comment that I receive. I'll see you again next time when I'll be back helping you to hand make with love.